My oh my, wasn't that an interesting prejudging for the classic physique division? There is so much to get into, and I want to get into it as quick as possible so I can get this video out as quick as possible so it stays relevant. So let's get right into it. I'll just quickly touch on Mike and Alex. So those were the top four. Those are what I predicted. Just about what everybody predicted. Those were the only four 2022 Olympians. The only people that competed in the 2022 Olympia were in the top four, and everyone predicted that they would be in the top four. And guess what? They were in the top four. None of them were off. Like, everyone brought it. And we'll get to the stellar conditioning a bit later with the other two competitors, but nobody was off. These guys in the top four were absolutely amazing, and everyone should be proud. However, Alex and Mike, Ramon and Urs, there's just a clear divide between these two. So let's get into the main topic of discussion, the Urs versus Ramon battle. First, my initial impressions. Urs is just 10 out of 10 condition, right? This is amazing conditioning. He's improved everywhere, I feel, across the entire physique. And I don't think he's as improved in the back and the arms as much as everywhere else, but across the entire physique, he's improved. And I really do think he had a very good peak. I think maybe even better than Ramon. We'll get to that. I think he not only kept his condition, but he is a bit fuller. And he's just energetic on stage. You can just tell that he is peaked really well, and he's very confident in that. Now, Ramon, he is 11 out of 10 conditioning. Like, that may be one of the most shredded physiques of all time. I'll simply say it. That was absolutely insane. There were a couple times where I saw him posing where I literally said, what the fuck? And I think it could have carved up a little bit more. Like I said, he's 11 out of 10 conditioning, so he has 1 point to go before he hits perfect conditioning. He's already better than perfect. So I think he can carve up a little bit more. And you can just tell on stage by his demeanor. He's not like his, happy-go-lucky, slap-ass kind of humor. Literally, you can just tell that maybe he is a bit lethargic. And I mean, I would be too when you're literally 3% body fat. So let's get into the pose-by-pose breakdown. First, we're going to have to use some lower quality footage. There are not too many HD photos out at the time of this, but that's okay. You can still kind of see the live stream was pretty good, high quality. The lighting and the stage production was really good as well. I was really impressed with the lighting. So let's get into the front double bicep. The first thing I noticed, Ramon Dino needs to learn how to fucking pose. He needs to pull his arms up and create that line straight across the shoulders. He's hurting his lat width and his shoulder width by retracting his scapula and not pulling up. I really do think it's really frustrating because this would be a knockout pose for him. Even though Urz's presentation is great, it's just that Ramon Dino's is not that good. In fact, I would even say it's below average. Like, this is not good. This is not good presentation. You're getting by on your detail, yes. However, I do think you can do a lot better. Urs has weak arms, but he's twisting his waist and making his waist look small to make his arms look big. They do look a little improved, but maybe he's just a bit fuller. And Ramon has just straight up better arms. However, I really don't know if they look better in this pose. Just because you have better arms doesn't mean that you're winning in the arms department. Bodybuilding is an illusion, and Urs is really capitalizing on his great posing skills. Quads are amazingly separated for both guys, but Ramon takes him in that area just slightly. Better midsection for Ramon, even though Urs has a deeper vacuum, I still like seeing Ramon's abs in his vacuum. Ramon has a deeply separated abs, and in my opinion, because he can hit a vacuum and really show those great separated abs, it's the best of both worlds. Now, for the verdict on this pose, it's very close, but I'm going with Ramon. And I won't fault you for going with Urs, but Ramon is more conditioned and separated, so that's my reasoning. But Urs has better presentation, no doubt. Now for the side chest, let's break this down again area by area. For the side leg, they're the same. However, when you get up into the glute area, the side glute area, Urs is superior there, clearly, so I'm giving him the side leg. Now for the arms, it's Ramon, but Urs isn't looking bad here, which he usually does because his small arms really are exposed in this pose. But honestly, I think they're more improved here than that in the front double bicep. So when his arms, when I first saw his arms in the front double, I thought, yeah, they look slightly improved. But when he turned to the side, which is surprising, I thought they looked better in the side than the front. And I can actually tell that they were more improved from the side than the front. So I do think he's not getting blown out here. I think Ramon still wins in the arm department, but it's closer than usual. And then for the shoulders, both are popping and they're capped. But I think Urs has slightly more detail here and a bit more vascularity throughout the delts, so I'm giving him that little detail. Now for the actual chest, Ramon's pecs are a bit flatter. However, Urge takes up less surface area on his body, so it's a trade-off. But in this pose, we're judging the thickness here. So I'm going to give this slight edge to Urge because his are a bit thicker, his pecs are a bit thicker, and maybe a touch more striations, maybe a bit deeper as well. So all in all, with everything, all those little areas, I'm giving it to Urge simply because I think he is closest to Rahman on this one. So even if I don't necessarily believe this can be Rahman's, I'm going to let my bias get out of the way and going to give this one to Urge. And I think Urge has more detail from the chest to the side glute. So I'll go ahead and give this pose to Urge. Now on the back double bicep, let me try to contain myself real quick. The Christmas tree, good Lord. This actually made me say, what the fuck? When I saw Rahman posing on the live stream, I was like, wow. And literally said WTF out loud. Now, is Urz improved in the back? Because we know he has, a history of not having a very good back. We know that. So Urz looks a little more improved. But I think what's helping him the most here is the conditioning. He can show off some new detail, even though it may not be new. It's just never before seen, but it's always kind of been there. In terms of width, this is Urz, no doubt. Again, Rahman needs to learn how to pose. Stop crunching down so much and bending backwards in the back. The width is suffering because of it, and he has detail to spare throughout the back. So he doesn't even need to crunch down in this pose to try to wring out a little more detail. He's perfectly fine, and because he's doing this, he's sacrificing a little bit of width. Now for the detail and thickness, come on. This is no contest. That is the best back in Classic. Someone tried to argue with me on Instagram about it. It's clearly the best back in Classic now that Breon is gone, now that, George Peterson left the 212 and then eventually passed. This is simply the best back in Classic now. Let's just take a minute to admire the sheer amount of detail and condition that went into this. Look at that Christmas tree. Look at the back double. Absolutely fucking insane. Now for the legs, the calves are surprisingly not Urz just because Rahman has slightly more detail. And the hamstrings is also Rahman, simply because slightly more detail. Both their glutes are in, but Rahman has a bit more striations and they aren't as bunched up. He has neater striations. And I know that's literally splitting hairs, but I'm going to give the glutes to Rahman. But I really do like Urz's quad sweep from the rear, though. He's clearly ahead in that. I was really impressed with that quad sweep from the rear. Verdict, Rahman's detail is simply insane. I was taken aback by this, literally gassed. Urz's back didn't do that to me. This is Rahman Dino's pose. Abs and thighs, I never quite liked Urz's abs. They aren't that separated when he crunches down, especially down the middle. And Urz's are amazingly separated, like I've said before, even in the vacuum. But for the abs themselves, I think Rahman takes this. But Rahman is also doing something weird when he's posing. He's slouching down a lot, making his obliques look bigger when he can have a crazy V taper like he almost did in the front double. He has that crazy V taper and he has that very long torso coming down to that small waist. It can be a very wicked thing to look at. However, he just does this weird slouch thing. I don't like it, but I'm still going to give him the abs department. Now for the vacuum department, Rahman doesn't have the deepest vacuum, but he has a very good vacuum. Also, his abs are visible in the vacuum, which I really, really do like I said earlier. And Urz's rib cage just seems off to me. He has the deeper vacuum, but it's just his rib cage seems a bit asymmetrical. And I do just think Rahman is better suited for this pose structurally. Legs, in terms of the legs, because it is the abs and thighs pose, I think it's very close. I'll give Rahman the slight edge for a bit more detail. So the verdict is, even if you give Urz the legs, right, I think Rahman clearly wins the abs and the vacuum, so you're going to have to give it to Rahman either way. And in the classic pose, I'll keep this very brief. I'm very partial to a twisting double. However, this is to show the judges you know what you're doing. This is for posing, right? And Urz is just a great poser. I think there's a little wiggle room for better posing on Rahman's side. We know that. And I think he can hit the twisting double a bit better. And Rahman's one arm shot is really weird, right? I don't like it. Urz stuck to his one arm pose and stayed in it the entire time. So I'm going to give him the entire pose. I think that for the classic pose, it's about posing, and Urz is the better poser. This is Urz's pose. So all in all, I gave Rahman 3 poses. Could have been 4 poses out of 5. Let's just say 3.5 out of 5. We'll split that one down the middle. So I really do think this will still be Rahman's show. However, However, that could just simply be my bias speaking. I can definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, see more than one scenario where Urs takes the dub in this one. I'm going to give Rahman a 70% chance to win and Urs a 30% chance to win, but that's not exactly a runaway for Rahman because things can change rapidly, right? We already saw that his peak could have been maybe slightly better. You know, he's really flat and I think really depleted. So we'll have to see how he comes back, but I do think Rahman is clearly ahead. However, I do think this can go both ways. Urs is definitely not out, but Rahman can maybe even improve on his package that he brought up prejudging. With that said, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I definitely want a lot of discussion down there. I know a lot of you guys are going to disagree with me, so let's hear it. I really like to have discussion, especially when we're in the midst of a show. Thank you guys so much for watching and stay tuned for more Arnold Classic updates.